Hey guys, so today I want to take a last look at just everything that has come out for this election, all of the latest numbers, and just talking about what you guys should look out for tomorrow. I'm not doing a stream today just because, well, I don't know how. Hopefully I'll get it all to work by tomorrow. I've gotten quite a bit of help from people in my Discord server, so if you haven't joined that, make sure you join my Discord server. The link is at the very top of the description below. We're doing a map contest. Make sure you enter before 7 p.m. Eastern time or 4 p.m. Pacific time if you live in my area. So make sure you get your maps in. If they're submitted after 7 p.m. on the East Coast, they will not be counted. And yes, make sure you do include margins. So I've also launched channel memberships. If you want to get those, that would be greatly appreciated. So moving on from all of this, I just want to take a look at which states you should definitely watch out for tomorrow. So the states that I'm going to fill in first are just the states that are going to go to Joe Biden. This is not my prediction. If you want to take a look at my prediction, I made it earlier today. It's come out. So just make sure you check that out on my channel after this video. So I'm filling dark blue for any state that I think is almost definitely going to go to Joe Biden. I am including Minnesota, Colorado, New Mexico, and Virginia just because these states are so solid right now in the polling for the former vice president, as well as the state of New Hampshire and the 1st District of Maine and the at-large vote. And then we have, of course, all of these northeastern states are definitely going to be stalled for the former vice president, and then the state of Hawaii, the District of Columbia, and then Illinois. For Donald Trump, we have basically all of his just 125 safe electoral votes, and this will include states like Kansas, Missouri, all of these states, and every single red state on this map was solid for Trump in 2016, but a lot of them are not going to be this time, like Kansas, Missouri, South Carolina, Alaska, and so yeah, Trump is definitely coming into this election in a worse position than he was when he went into the election 4 years ago. So these swing states, I think that Nevada is almost definitely going to go to Biden. If Clinton won, I just don't see Joe Biden losing this. So Joe Biden starts off at 232, Donald Trump 125. Now, for Biden to win a landslide of over 400 electoral votes, that would be very difficult. I mean, I think definitely it is possible. The chances aren't that small just because Joe Biden really only has to flip a few states. I mean, Texas, 38 electoral votes would be most of it, and then Florida would not be too hard for him to win if he was to really win with the landslide. Neither would North Carolina. Iowa, Ohio could definitely flip back. These were Obama states in 2012. Georgia, I think, would also be able to flip if Biden was to do really well. But this is a little bit unrealistic, so I'm not gonna, just give every single state to Joe Biden. But these numbers in Arizona right now, I think, are not great for Joe Biden, but I think that they're definitely good enough for Biden to have a victory here. As you can see, Donald Trump has never led in the polling since Biden took lead in early March. Since then, Donald Trump's polling average has never been higher than Joe Biden's. And so that is why I have always given Arizona to Joe Biden, because Joe Biden has never lost his lead. He might be polling under Trump in some certain polls like Trafalgar, but really the numbers here are good enough for Joe Biden, in my opinion, for him to carry this state. I think it's probably going to be a tilt state, but might even be lean, but we'll see. And this really isn't a prediction, so if you really want to see my actual prediction, make sure you check that out tomorrow, or not tomorrow, make sure you check that out after this video. It's already released on my channel. So other key states, Florida will be a big deal tomorrow, definitely. If Biden gets Florida, Biden wins the election. If Trump gets Florida, that will be a side relief for the Trump campaign, but that in no way means that Trump is going to win this election. Trump can win, Texas, Georgia, North Carolina. He can win all of these states. He can win Arizona as well and Florida, but he needs the Rust Belt. He has to win one of these 3 Rust Belt states, and that would make the 2016 map. But he has to win one of these states, and right now, it just doesn't look like he's going to. I mean, the state of Michigan has been polling so strong for Joe Biden. It's up by 8%. It might even be a likely state, but I have called it as a lean state just because I think it will be a little bit closer than that. But I mean, Trafalgar might have Trump up 3. Do not worry about this. In 2016, we saw that since mid-August, Trump's numbers spiked so much. If you were to take a look at the RCP averages for 2016 in the state of Michigan, you would see a huge increase, a huge surge for Trump throughout the month of October. However, this time around, we've seen literally no change in terms of Trump numbers, literally 43% right now, and then the beginning of October, we saw 43%. So Trump has not increased at all in his support in Michigan, and that is why I think that he has absolutely no chance of winning this state, which is so solid right now for the former vice president. No, I do think that he can win Wisconsin. Biden's up by 8.2%. And I mean, these polls, he leads in literally every single poll out of the state of Wisconsin. I mean, I don't think we have any Trafalgar or Rasmussen. We do have one Trafalgar. Trafalgar group has an even race according to their numbers. I don't think we have Rasmussen up here, but every single poll, A plus, D minus, all shows Biden up by a lot in Wisconsin. The margin in Wisconsin may even be larger than the margin in Michigan, which I think wouldn't be too surprising. But I've always considered Michigan as the safest one out of these three states to go to the former vice president. The state of Pennsylvania. This is the one that people are talking about the most because it is the closest. Even though it's the closest, I don't think Trump really has too great of a chance at winning here. I mean, Rasmussen reports this is one of the most biased right-wing pollsters, has Biden up 3. If the Republican internals have Biden plus 3%, they're not going to win that state. I mean, Monmouth University, all three of their polls, Biden up 7, or up 5, up 7, up 5, Marist College up 4, up 5. So although it's not going to be as strong a victory as we'll see in Michigan or Pennsylvania, this state is probably still going to go to Joe Biden. Trafalgar Group has Trump up 2. Really doesn't matter. Just absolutely discredit this pollster. They're sometimes right if they get lucky, but most of the time they're so far off. I mean, in the state of Georgia in 2018, they had I forgot who Stacey Abrams' opponent was, but they had him up 14 points, and then he ended up winning by less than 2%. So Stacey Abrams, if Joe Biden wins the state of Georgia, I think Stacey Abrams will have, a lot to do with that. Although I am not personally a big fan of her, and I know I've said, some not too nice things about her, but I think that Stacey Abrams definitely will have a huge effect, and has already had a huge effect on the Georgian electorate in terms of voting for the Democratic Party, because she really has done a lot for the Democrats in the state of Georgia. I'm not going to discredit her for that. But the state of Pennsylvania right now, the numbers are looking good for Joe Biden. Trump leads, and I mean 1 out of every 10 polls. So although Trump, the polls could definitely be wrong again, I don't see Trump winning Pennsylvania this time around. His margin was a lot better 4 years ago than it is now as well. So the state of Georgia, I want to go back to this state. Voter suppression, that I think is the key thing here. It really is voter suppression. The big thing here that we have to discuss is voter suppression. I know I said that like 3 times already, but this is a big deal. I mean, the state of Georgia flipping for the Democrats would destroy any chances that Trump has to re-election, because there's no way that Trump is winning a state like Michigan if Joe Biden wins the state of Georgia. If Joe Biden wins Georgia, he's going to win North Carolina, he's going to win Florida, he's going to win all of these Midwestern states, and he's also going to win Arizona. He might even win Texas, Iowa, and Ohio. So there's absolutely no chance that Donald Trump can lose the state of Georgia and win this election. So right now, Biden is up by 1%. He's at 48.3, so not at 50%. So definitely there's a chance that Donald Trump can still flip at this state. Personally, in my prediction, I have Trump winning the state of Georgia. Hasn't voted for a Democrat since 1992, since Bill Clinton's first election, but I really don't see this state flipping right now. I just don't. The numbers here were pretty good for Joe Biden a week ago. Monmouth University had Biden up by 245, and although that could still come true, I just really don't see how these new numbers are reflecting a good result for Biden. Emerson College has Trump up 1, and then if you factor in voter suppression, I think that the odds here are against Biden. They just are. He might have been leading in the state for the entire month of October. He definitely still can win, but right now I would be betting on Donald Trump. Still, I think the betting odds here are actually pretty good for Joe Biden, but although these numbers are good for Joe Biden, they are good for a Democrat in a state like Georgia. Probably the best thing that's going right now for Joe Biden is the early vote statistics. Basically, higher turnout means better for Democrats. That is just what has been a trend for the last couple of decades. The Democrats have won the popular vote in 4 out of the last 5 elections, but they've only won the presidency twice. So Democrats always win the popular vote, almost always on a nationwide scale, and whenever turnout is higher, they win more. Like in 2008, 2012, Barack Obama won so many electoral votes because the turnout there was just so much higher among those key groups, especially African Americans. So if Joe Biden can turn them out, I think he definitely has a chance in Georgia and Florida, as well as, of course, Texas. Texas, this is probably something that might worry the Republicans. I think the GOP should be worried about Texas, although I don't think they will lose it. I think that they should definitely have a little bit of worry in their minds when talking about the state of Texas, because turnout is 108% of what it was in 2016. As of right now, before any votes have been cast on election night, there have already been more votes cast this time around than there were during the entire election, including election night 4 years ago. So the state of Texas, I think this 108 number will haunt the Republicans for the next couple of hours, but I do think that in the end they will be able to hold on to this previously very solid red state, although I don't know how long they're going to be able to hold on to this state in the future. The state of Georgia, 93.9%. That is a huge amount. There's definitely not going to be just 7% of remaining voters that are going to vote. There's definitely going to be a lot more, and turnout will be shattered in Georgia as well. And that could definitely give an edge to Joe Biden. We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if Biden won Georgia, but if you won Texas, I would be a little bit surprised. The state of North Carolina, 95%. That is also great numbers for the former vice president. Joe Biden wants turnout to be higher because if turnout is high, he is probably going to win. Florida, 93.7%. Another good number for the former vice president. I mean, we have New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona. Great numbers for Joe Biden already. I mean, everybody is turning out. The Rust Belt, these numbers aren't the greatest, I will admit that, but we're expecting a lot of votes in person in these key areas, and I think that they will come out. And Pennsylvania has a huge number of votes already voted compared to 2016. So I think that these numbers are alright. If you take a look at the party registration, which doesn't tell you anything actually real about it, just, doesn't tell you who actually people voted for, but it does show you how many registered Democrats and Republicans have voted already. Democrats have a pretty large lead that I think the Republicans will probably not be able to catch up to in terms of the popular vote. So these numbers very favorable for Joe Biden, but we'll see how this all turns out. There's more than 47 million votes. There's, I believe, 94 million, a little bit over 93, as you can see up there, or it's a 97 already. Wow, it's a 97 because early voting did still occur in some states tomorrow or yesterday and today. So the turnout is definitely going to shatter records, and I think that will definitely benefit the Democratic Party. I mean, if you take a look at other states like North Carolina, Biden plus 1.9%. The polls that have come out today, they are good news for Joe Biden. Definitely, I still think that his hope has not been lost in North Carolina. I think Biden will win North Carolina if he, just has a little bit more ad spending in there. I think that North Carolina, take a look at the turnout. It is just amazing what we're seeing in the state of North Carolina. I mean, 95%. It's definitely going to hit 100%. And with those, I think Donald Trump is going to lose it at North Carolina. It is typically a Republican state. It went to Barack Obama for the first time in decades in 2008, and the Republicans will take it back in 2012 and hold on to it in 2016. But Trump's margin was nowhere near good 4 years ago. And I do think that Biden will be able to flip the state of North Carolina. And then with 48.9% of the vote, that's basically 49%, I think that is enough for a Biden victory in this state. Ohio, Iowa, these two states are on the Trump side right now. I think they will end up going to Donald Trump. But yes, I do think that Ohio will break its 60-year-long streak by voting for the eventual loser of a presidential election, something that they have not done in the last 6 decades. The state of Iowa, 1.4% in favor of Trump. The latest poll out of, from Public Policy on the 1st and 2nd of November, if you were to take this number and apply it to 2016, it was really those final polls that showed who would actually win. And right now, if we were to take a look at the final poll, yes, Biden would win the state of Iowa, but I just don't see that happening. It might have been a Trump state in 2016 or a Obama state in 2012, but it was a Trump state by almost 10% 4 years ago. But of course, Iowa does have a huge number of swing counties, so really anything can happen. But right now, I think Trump does have the edge. And I just don't want to give Biden too many states that I don't think he has the best chance of winning. Based on the numbers right now, he's doing so well, but you can't always trust the numbers. And make sure, if you have not voted, to go out and vote tomorrow. I mean, this is a huge election, and a lot of things are going to be affected by this. How we react to COVID-19 and to actually have a plan to fight the virus, I think will definitely do a lot of good for our country. So make sure you go out and vote if you have, and it really is something that you should definitely go do if you have, the privilege to do so. So do not skip out on it this time. If you skipped out on it in 2016, this time around, I think things are a little bit different, and I think that we are seeing that. I mean, turnout is so much higher than it was in 2016. Turnout really wasn't too great 4 years ago. Hillary Clinton, a lot of Clinton voters just sat out the election because they did think that she was probably going to win, but they didn't like her as much, as they probably should, or not as they should have, but they didn't like her enough to actually go out and vote. But this time, if you don't want Trump as your president, or if you don't want Biden as your president, make sure you go out and vote, because really anything can happen. This electoral map can change overnight. These few key states, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, these 10 key states: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, you have Iowa, Ohio, and then these rest of these states, they're going to decide this election. And if you're in one of these 10 states, make sure you go out and vote. That's very important. I also want to take a look at numbers in Alaska. I do want to take a look at the Alaska numbers right now. Trump plus 7.8. I mean, this is nowhere near good for a Republican in Alaska. Let's take a look at the state of South Carolina. Trump plus 7.5. Again, nowhere near good. These states are not going to be solid for President Trump. I mean, Kansas, this was a pretty close state a couple weeks ago. 10.1%. Yes, it has increased from 7%, but still not good. Still hasn't been able to break that 15% mark, except for that one CD rated pollster a couple weeks ago. And then finally, Missouri, another state that Trump should have no problem winning, still just 7.4%. This is not good. I mean, the Trump campaign is really just not coming in a good position right now. So personally, I would think that Biden would win this election. I think that we are going to see that tomorrow night. So make sure, if you want to join our stream tomorrow, make sure you have a Java account for our Minecraft stream. It's going to be on Java, and yeah, because that's the only thing that I use. So make sure that you do get Java if you haven't, if you really do want to join in. Of course, you can watch, and yes, we'll be covering the election, obviously, but it's a lot of downtime, and I really don't feel like talking about the election for 7 hours straight, or depending on how long it is. So I think it'll be more fun if we do it this way, and a lot of you guys wanted me to do that. So make sure you consider coming in and seeing what's happening in the stream and stay if you're enjoying it. It will start at 4 p.m. Eastern time sharp tomorrow, maybe even a little bit earlier, but probably going to just be 4 o'clock. So make sure you join that. As well as that, make sure you join Discord server. The link's at the very top of the description below. And my map contest, of course, make sure you join that if you haven't. This is just, to win Discord Nitro. And make sure you use margins in your map predictions. That is very important. Otherwise, I don't know how close you are going to be. So channel memberships, get these if you're interested. And so yeah, that will be it for this video. Thank you guys for all of your support over the last couple of months. I mean, we are now just 1 day away from the election that I've been covering for the last 5 months nonstop. So yeah, everything that we've been talking about, it will all, the results will all come in tomorrow. Although we might not have the full results tomorrow, I think that we will have a pretty good idea of who's going to win tomorrow night, just from states like North Carolina and Florida, which will get the results in pretty early, even the state of Arizona. So that'll be it for today. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see all of you guys in the next video.